Yo. Hey, how's it going, everybody? How's it going? Hey, how's it going? Hey, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Maydaysan TALKS podcast. And today we don't have the setup, but we have ourselves in our bed here with my little otters and stuff like that here on the channel. And I know I haven't uploaded the podcast to the Spotify. I probably will right after recording this and keep you guys all up to date. Hopefully today's audio is going to be very nice for you. And I kind of wanted to just talk about, the future of Japan and maybe the world at some point. So, I was just thinking about, the whole pandemic that's going on right now. And, I follow a lot of American-based content creators and influencers and, well, North American anyway. And, we kind of see that, the world is rightfully so in panic right now. Lockdowns in countries, everything is going to poo, economies are shattering, ways of life itself are changing fundamentally. Even when it comes to, and I think it's just mostly, it's going to base this off my North American roots that, the ways of life and culture itself is being challenged and changed by the pandemic. Social distancing, mask culture, delivery culture, on the curb, on brick and mortar business, online business, logistics, all these kind of infrastructures socially or technologically are being challenged right now, and politically as well, by this pandemic. And, I was listening to one of these content creators that I follow, and they were basically saying how right now we are in a major shift on all fronts of human society, and how it's going to be, it's what they call a zeitgeist or something, and it's going to change fundamentally. Like, we cannot go back to the normal being close with each other, not social distancing, delivery, working from home, not working from home, the opposite of working from home, I guess, the opposite of going to the office, the opposite of our life that we've lived up until now. And I was thinking about this, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I think that is probably a very valid argument, and I think a lot of the reasons why Korea and some of the radically different countries, I guess, cultural wise, are doing so much better in terms of fighting off the pandemic, because just of how their culture is based, because they have mass culture, because they don't really touch each other when they greet, because they're generally more hygienic than the Western counterparts, and in some places, we've seen that the same kind of traditional stubbornness has caused the downfall of some infrastructures in Asian countries as well. But we've also seen that these same practices have also helped them excel, like the masks. And for example, Japan, which I can really speak for, is, Hanko culture, overtime working culture, all that kind of stuff is kind of really holding back Japan and maybe some of the other similar Asian countries from making the necessary steps to, flatten the curve. But I was just kind of thinking, like, as Golden Week has now finished, and I spent some time, with close family and stuff like that, make sure we had masks and all that stuff. We weren't going out we were mostly outside anyway, and lots of ventilation, so it was fine. I don't think there's anything bad about going to see your family. Obviously, there is, like, at a spiritual level or basic level, but that's kind of the argument I kind of want to make right now, was that Japan has this really weird sense of calm. It's kind of like this organized kind of chaos that's happening right now, where there isn't really this sense of urgency, and it doesn't feel like the world is falling apart around us, like how it seems in America or Canada or UK or Italy, or it doesn't seem like the entire country is shutting down for a hard reset and installing new software, right? I can see in different fronts that it is changing fundamentally because they are being challenged really, really hard right now by the pandemic. One, which is really good, I guess, but the entire idea of having pachinko, even though gambling is illegal in Japan, is being questioned. The entire idea of school starting in April and not in September, like most of the rest of the world, is now being challenged. Overtime work has been reduced by almost 4.7%, which is the highest it's ever been ever. Overtime work itself is being challenged. Working from home is being challenged, right? Delivery systems are being challenged. Social distancing in izakayas, smoking, all that kind of stuff is being challenged. Japan is fundamentally being challenged, and they're starting to see, through their own eyes now. Because, for the longest time, us jaded gaijin and stuff, and maybe other Western eyes have looked on Japan and kind of criticized them for some of their practices in business. And now they're starting to realize it too, and seeing beyond the rose-tinted glasses that they wear on their own pride. Right? They're seeing that, oh my God, we are still using fax machines and we're requiring people to fax their things. Meanwhile, we could literally just digitally do it because it is not feasible to do it anymore. It is just not feasible at all. Right? They're starting to realize that Hanko culture is ridiculous. It's why don't we just do signatures? And they're almost challenging and almost thinking about their own traditions now. And we are seeing a change fundamentally in Asian countries in Japan, right? But that being said, will Japan actually just go back to normal after this is all over? And I'm not saying that in a cynical way, but I'm saying it in a way that it doesn't feel, even despite all these changes and all these gears shifting into new vehicles per se, is Japan just going through some sort of inconvenient bump and they're just going to revert back to how it was? Or is it just this pandemic didn't feel like a complete shutdown, but rather than just a soft reset to refresh the RAM, and things will just go back to normal as it was? Right, people are just going to go back to going on crowded trains. People are going to go back to honkoing and all that stuff, like nothing ever happened, and it was just something we can laugh about. Or a couple months from now, that it was just a fun time, and hey, that was crazy, wasn't it? Yeah, okay, cool, and it's just another story. Is it going to be like that, or is it going to be something as dramatic, in Canada and America and UK and Italy, where they have to fundamentally change their lives, forever because of this virus, right? And I feel like that's possibly wishful thinking as well. Maybe Japan will actually have to change. It will actually fundamentally change, because right now although it does seem like the numbers are going down. Of course, we can sit here for hours and hours and talk about how it's all conspiracy and how they aren't testing and stuff like that, and all that kind of stuff. We could talk about that, but without any concrete evidence, it's all really just speculation and conspiracy, and all can really go off are the numbers and probably our own instincts, right? But maybe, let's say Japan does get hit with the second wave, right? A second wave that should be already here. Will that then trigger Japan to be as fundamentally shifted as America or Canada is right now? Are we just wishfully thinking right now that everything is okay and it just doesn't feel that bad? Or is it just because the weather outside is so great and it just doesn't feel like there's anything bad going on right now, and it's just a minor inconvenience, super easy, barely an inconvenience? And I was just kind of thinking about that, just in a nutshell, will life just go back to normal how it was 2 or 3 months ago? Not only for Japan, but for the rest of the world. But I can only really speak for Japan right now because that's just where I live. And it was just some food for thought. And even just this entire social distancing thing, I'm probably gonna get a lot of criticism for oh my God, why did you go out to see family and stuff like that? And Why did you even have a collection of party of people more than five? It feels like it just feels okay to do that, and you don't really feel that social pressure from the Japanese people around you, right? As long as you're making the precautions, like we were like doing the alcohol and you know, washing our hands and stuff like that, right? As long as you're making those precautions, especially in public places when we were out to go like buy food and whatever, it was completely fine to see each other and it was completely fine to see people, right? And it's a little harder if you have to go on trains and stuff like that. Yeah, but we were in a car, right? So we had a very controlled environment. But even then, it doesn't feel like Japanese people are like, what is that word called? Like hanging you on a stick or whatever, like, pitchforking that you're actually out and doing stuff. Because at the end of the day, it's not illegal and it's all voluntary. So I guess there really is no argument other than to, throw some shade and throw some shame on people. But I know I probably, like a lot of you who are watching this right now, we're human. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are going out for walks and you are going out for stuff, because I've seen a lot of people out right now. We're getting stressed staying inside, right? And the funny thing is, and it is pretty remarkable, is that this is all voluntary for Japan. It's all voluntary. And, unlike where my hometown is in Canada, like you can get fined for going outside for non-essential business. But here, there is, and I admit, I probably underestimated Japanese people, than I thought. And I think this entire thing of talking about like underestimating Japanese people and being so cynical that everybody's going out and everybody's going out for pancakes and stuff like that, it's just kind of this defense mechanism to not be so disappointed when everybody does the right thing and things still go wrong. And I think it's easier for us as humans to just kind of lower expectations so that when things are going well, it's a pleasant surprise, especially in times like these. And I was just kind of thinking about this entire thing. It's just like, wow, it doesn't feel like this is actually happening over here. It's as long as I don't get sick, and I think I read about that, but like, even the old people, it's like, as long as they don't catch it, it's whatever, or they just think it's a cold. And, and to be honest, I can't say like how bad this pandemic is. Like, I can't, like, either the wool is being like, was that covered on my eyes, or I just don't have an understanding of it. I'm pretty sure I got a lot of comments saying like, you have no idea how bad it is. I've lost loved ones. It's like, yeah, of course, but it's relative at the end of the day, right? Like, and we can see that like sense of crisis is relative to countries to country. America is like panicking. Italy's panicking. Japan is not really panicking. Yet there is a sense of like, oh shit, fuck, we gotta like, gotta get our stuff together. But the common folk are just like, okay, well, this is annoying. I guess I'll just stay safe or whatever. But it just feels more like an inconvenience, like a very, very, very big inconvenience, that it does feeling like a crisis right now. And maybe that's just food for thought. I don't know. Maybe you guys will all just cancel me anyway. Whatever, I don't really care, to be honest. So I've been just feeling lately just like, if I get canceled, if I get fired from my content or whatever, then you know what? Honestly, so be it. Whatever. Like, I'd rather be happy than, trying to censor myself or do whatever. Because, bro, I'm an emotional person, bro. Like, if I'm sad, I'm sad. If I'm mad, I'm mad. I'm not going to hide that stuff. And we were talking about this, the other day, about how content creator is instantly dehumanized as soon as they are seen as successful. And any kind of emotion that is shown by a content creator is considered annoying or taboo, because now it feels like, I don't know. Anyway, that's a different whole story. But this entire thing is talking about, will life go back to normal after all this is over? Japan, I could probably say probably, yeah. Unless something happens in the next month after the state of declaration freaking emergency gets lifted and everybody lets their guards down and then it all goes to poo-poo again, then probably. But as it stands right now, if things keep going as it is now, as the numbers decrease, I can see life going back to normal probably pretty soon. And I know there's a lot of skeptics out there going to be like, you have no idea. But anyway, that's just a theory, a game theory. Thanks for watching. All right, guys, thanks for watching. This has been your boy Maydaysan. Out.